Alright, Meat Shields, did you know that there's actually an underground storage center somewhere in Kansas that used to be a super secret military base? Crazy stuff, right? But what if the military stored something bad there, like a super fungus from outer space that turns people into nasty, goo-spitting zombies? Well, that's exactly what we're dealing with today, except instead of Joel Miller, we got Liam Neeson and my boy Steve from Stranger Things on the case. So I'm here to break down the mistakes made, what you should do, and how to beat the deadly fungus in cold storage. We opened one night back in 2007. The iPhone just came out. The memes were pure. But somewhere in Western Australia, disaster was about to strike. That's where we find Dr. Martins, a scientist who works for NASA. She's meeting up with Major Quinn and Lieutenant Colonel Romano from this government agency called the DTRA. Because back in the 70s, a retired space station came down and burned up in the atmosphere. But a couple of pieces still made it to the ground, and one of those pieces landed here where a farmer picked it up and took it back to his crib. But what he didn't know was the tank held some kind of super adaptive fungus. And about a day ago, the entire town suddenly went quiet. They fired the tank right where it's supposed to be, but the doc decides to get a better look. As she leans in closer, this freaky green slime shoots out and lands on her camera. And when she jumps back, she accidentally steps right in a little puddle of the same stuff. Well, that's when Romano finds their bodies all over the roofs, and they realize that the fungus made them climb up there to help it spread. But while they're busy checking things out, the fungus starts eating through the doctor's boot, until out of nowhere, she throws up a bunch of green slime and starts booking it straight for the Jeep. As the doc starts flooring it in reverse, the Major pushes Romano to safety, but he ends up getting hit pretty hard and breaking his back. And then the doc just randomly jumps out and starts going for the blick, but just when it looks like she's gonna blast them, she turns around and does the other thing instead. And that makes one down, with 12 more to go. I guess this means the fungus is officially among us. The feds definitely put their three biggest doo-doo heads on the case, but before we even get to them, there's an even bigger idiot that we gotta talk about first. And that would be whoever decided to keep this thing in the first place. I'm not gonna lie, I get the urge to try and make some quick cash, but that is not worth the risk. I mean, first of all, this literally just fell out of the sky. I mean, it probably came from outer space. So for all I know, I could have picked up some kind of alien eggs or a deadly space virus, and that's not something I'm trying to mess with. But even an old regular piece of space junk can still be hella dangerous, like it could be covered in toxic chemicals, radiation, or even might just explode. So if I saw this thing in my backyard, I'm gonna just call the feds and let them handle it instead. But even when the feds showed up, they were honestly a total joke. Like, you're really gonna tell me they only sent one doctor and 2 senior citizens? Nah, like, be for real. And the one and only doctor they did send must have got her degree out of a cereal box or something, because she had absolutely no idea what she was doing. Like, this genius gets to town and what's the first thing she does? Pick up the phone the guy called her from, hold it straight up to her face, and I'm sorry, but what is this, your first day? She could have gotten infected right there. Then she spots the exact weird fungus she's been worried about and goes, "Hold me, bro, I'm going in." Like, what the hell, lady? Can't you just zoom in? And as soon as I saw that, I'm backing up, not getting closer. Then I'd notice the puddle on the ground, and boom, we're Gucci. So if it was me, I'm nuking this entire town and making sure the fungus never comes back. But this is the feds we're talking about, so you already know they're gonna do something sketchy. After sending the entire town straight to the Shadow Realm, the military took the only sample of fungus and stashed it deep underground at this old mine somewhere in Kansas. And that's where it stayed until one ordinary night 20 years later. You see, these days, the place has been converted into a 24-hour storage facility, and that's where we find this dude named Tea-Cake. He's handling the front desk while the new girl Naomi's patrolling downstairs. But it isn't long before they get their first customer, this grumpy old lady, Mrs. Rooney. Tea-Cake tries chatting her up like usual, but Granny just hustles down to her storage unit and falls asleep holding a loaded blammer. We'll catch up with her again later, but for now it's back to Tea-Cake, where we see him looking for this mysterious beeping noise that he can't seem to figure out. He decides to call up Naomi and have her take a look, and of course, that's when the sound completely stops. But just when they're about to give up, they hear it beeping again, and that's when they realize that it's coming from inside the wall. It's actually so obnoxious that Tea-Cake's ready to take take a crowbar and see what's back there, but he also wants to keep his job, and the thing is, my dude literally just got out of prison, so part of him thinks that it's not the best idea. But then Naomi gets a text from her annoying ex-boyfriend, and that makes her want to smash some stuff, so they keep going back and forth until finally the intrusive thoughts win. Meanwhile, somewhere in North Carolina, Major Quinn gets a call saying that the fungus got out, and honestly, he's not even surprised. He's been trying to warn these dummies for years that the bunker wasn't gonna hold up, and sure enough, his worst fears have come true. So now it looks like it's up to him to save the world. The soldier on the phone can't give out her real name, but she tells Quinn to call her Abigail and starts explaining why they can't mess around. He says the fungus could spread out of control if they don't act fast, so he needs her to get a bunch of supplies and have them all ready when he lands in Kansas. But they can't have anyone slowing them down, so for now, they're gonna have to keep it just between them. Well, what do you know? The feds cut corners and might have caused another global catastrophe. Hard to believe, I'm sure. Because honestly, how dumb do you have to be to leave the damn Last of Us fungus chilling under some random storage facility somewhere in Kansas? I mean, that's genuinely insane. If this thing ever gets loose, it could wipe out an entire town in a matter of hours, which means the feds are going to be looking at lawsuits out the wazoo. And that's the best case scenario. Like the worst case, we're talking about a whole damn fungus apocalypse. So needless to say, the security on this thing could have used some work. Now, if it was me, I would have taken this fungus straight to Area 51 or something, somewhere we could actually keep an eye on it. Because with something this sketchy, we're gonna need guards, scientists, maintenance people, all that stuff. And we can't just have government agents showing up at the storage unit 10 times a day without people getting suspicious. Plus, what if some rando bozos who work there accidentally find the lab and let it out? Then we would all be toast. So moving it to an actual government base is step one. But even then, just stashing the thing in a fridge is not gonna cut it. They need some kind of backup plan in case anything goes wrong, so personally, I'm going full Umbrella Corp and building a sealed room, with only the fungus being kept there. And at the first sign of it trying to get out, bam! Instant lockdown, flamethrowers pop out of the walls, and the whole lab gets torched. And that's how we're gonna make sure that it never escapes. Now, Quinn is in a tough position here, because not only does he have to deal with this fungus, but he's got a bunch of randos in the mix too. So you might think he should just call the police and tell them to get out of there, right? But it's actually not that simple. For all he knows, they could have already been infected, and if he tells them to leave, they might end up spreading it even worse. So if it was me, I would call the local cops and tell them to lock down the building until I got there. And that should at least keep things under control. But as for my dude Tea-Cake, the last thing he needs to do is start smashing up the place where he works. And since he already knows where the noise is coming from, I would just finish my shift and let the boss deal with it in the morning, piece of cake. But it looks like his curiosity is about to get him in trouble. Back at the storage place, Tea-Cake grabs a hammer and smashes a hole in the wall. And strangely enough, there's a big old-fashioned control panel chilling on the other side. So he climbs in there for a closer look. The doohickey with the blinking light says it's for the thermistor, which is basically like a type of temperature sensor, but Naomi gets tired of Tea-Cake having all the fun, so bam, she grabs the hammer and smashes an even bigger hole straight through. That's when they find this huge map of the old military base, and down at the very bottom, they notice a bunch of red lights somewhere way down in the labs, so obviously Naomi wants to go check it out. Well, Tea-Cake might have been going for it so far, but breaking into a government lab is like an entirely different story, especially since he just got out of trouble. So at first, it really seems like he's not gonna do it, but nah, he's just kidding. Like, what's the worst that could happen, right? So they both hop on the elevator and start heading down to the basement. But while those two are over here playing Mission Impossible, this sweaty looking dude in a red Mustang comes driving into the parking lot. And after spotting Naomi's car, he pulls around and parks right on the other side. It's her ex-boyfriend Mike, and for whatever reason, this dude is riding around strapped to it. But we'll find out what's up with him soon enough. Back downstairs, the other two keep following the map until it leads to a secret door in the janitor's closet, and on the other side they find this giant hallway full of old government stuff that looks like it hasn't been touched in years. Naomi finally asks Tea-Cake here if that's his real name. He tells her it's Travis, but when she asks where Tea-Cake came from, he says that's a little more personal. They end up finding a ladder that leads all the way down to the very bottom levels, and yeah, it's gonna be a long climb, but there's only one way to find out what's down there, so Travis leads the way as they both start climbing down. Back on the surface, Mike leaves Naomi this unhinged voicemail about some kind of problem that's in his trunk, which probably explains why my dude is so damn sweaty. But then whatever's back there starts moving around, and when he opens it up to take a peek, it's his parents' cat. Only half its face is missing, and there's a bunch of green fungus growing all over its brain. But before he can catch up, it climbs all the way up to the highest spot that it can find and suddenly just explodes like a damn water balloon. And since Mike's just standing out there like an idiot, he ends up taking a bunch of green slime straight to the face. That makes 2 down with 11 more to go. What's the matter, Mike? Cat fungus got your tongue? Well, if this was Naomi's ex, then yeah, I can see why it didn't work out. And that's good news for my guy Travis, but the bad news for Mike is you done up, my boy. Like if you ever find yourself pulling up at your ex-girlfriend's workplace with a dead cat in the trunk, a mixed drink, and a loaded glizzy, you're off to a rough start. But once I heard Garfield start moving around back there when I was 100% sure that he was toast, there's no way I'm opening up that trunk. At that point, I'll just dump the whole car in a lake and take the loss. Cause whatever pet cemetery type stuff is going on back there, personally, I want nothing to do with it. And once Sylvester jumped out of the trunk with half his damn face missing, you really think I'm gonna start getting closer? Hell no! I'm either gonna go straight for the blammer or just hopping back in the whip and peeling out of there. And then I'm going straight home to reevaluate all my life decisions up until that point. But now that he just took some fungus straight to the dome, I think it's safe to say that this dude up. Now, speaking of bad choices, Travis and Naomi ain't looking too smart right now either. Cause I'm sorry, but who in their right mind hears an alarm coming from a top secret government lab and says, you know what, we should check that out. And even if I was feeling curious, as soon as I saw that ladder, I'm out. Like, look at that. It's gotta be like at least 200 feet. What happens if I fall? I'm donezo. And even if I make it to the bottom, now I gotta climb all the way back up? What do I look like, Solid Snake? Nah, that's redonkulous. All the gas masks and hazmat suits alone should have been enough to warn these idiots that they're barking up the wrong tree, and let's not forget, there's literally no reason they have to do this besides their own dumb curiosity. But me, I actually like being alive. So the minute I realized where this alarm was coming from, I'm calling the feds, punching out, and heading home before things get any worse. Now back underground, Travis and Naomi finally get to the bottom of that Metal Gear Solid-ass ladder and find themselves all the way down on sub-level 4. Seems like a good time for a yap sesh, so Travis starts asking all these personal questions, like if Naomi ever regrets having a kid. Like, damn bro, ever heard of boundaries? But he finally shuts up when they spot this creepy looking door with a blinking red light. This must be the source of the problem, and it looks like it could be dangerous. So Naomi gives Travis one last chance to turn around, but he didn't come this far just to chicken out now. So he grabs the wheel and slowly pulls it open. Now inside they find another even scarier looking door that leads into some kind of evil lab. There's some pipes on the ceiling leading inside where Travis goes up to touch them, and he says that they're freezing cold, like this must be some kind of cold storage or something. Whatever's causing the alarm is definitely in that room, and by this time they decide to do the smart thing and just leave it the hell alone. But just as they're about to leave, they hear this weird squeaking noise coming from somewhere in the shadows. And when they look down at the floor, all they see is this huge pile of rats, all covered in green slime. Naomi calls it a rat king, which is this weird type of phenomenon where a bunch of rats get their tails stuck together by some kind of sticky substance, and it's pretty much the most disgusting thing that Travis has ever seen. But while my boy's over here spazzing out, Naomi takes a closer look inside the lab and sees even more of that weird fungus spreading all over the room. So they decide they better skedaddle before things get any worse. Now meanwhile, back in the parking lot, that dude Mike's already going full zombie mode, and as the fungus spreads to his brain, starts telling him to go out and infect more people. So he grabs the blick and decides to go find Naomi. But as he's standing outside, this huge deer that also got infected randomly comes walking up next to him, and the two of them start heading in together like they're sharing the same thoughts. But jumping back over to Major Quinn, he's on a plane to Kansas when he gets another call from Abigail. But there's a problem. The only guy Quinn trusted to help them out died over a year ago, so now this dude Colonel Jarabek is getting involved. And just like Quinn was afraid of, Jarabek wants to cover the whole thing up. So he's convinced it's just a false alarm and tells Quinn to report back before he does anything else. So Quinn just plays along like, sure, whatever you say, Colonel Jarabek. But then as soon as he's off the phone, Abigail rings him up from her personal cell, and he tells her to have his old friend Trini Romano meet him at the airport. Alright, looks like things are about to heat up down here at the storage center. But as always, I still have a plan. like I said before, just going down there in the first place was already dumb as hell. But at least they finally turned their brains on and decided to turn around. Like personally, the minute I saw this alien-looking fungus growing all over the place, I'm not even finishing my shift. I'm going straight back to the surface, locking the place up and letting somebody else deal with it. Because whatever they're getting paid here, it's not enough. But now that Zombie Mike just entered the picture, that makes things even more complicated. The first problem is they have no reason to think that there's anything wrong with this guy, so at first, they're not even going to realize that he's a threat. Now, I've been playing so much Resident Evil lately that I can spot a zombie from a mile away, so as soon as I peeped Broski looking all green and stuff, I'm not taking any chances. I'm just going to blast him and call it a day, but however it happens, eventually they're going to realize this dude's been fungified. And that's where we hit the next issue. Because if this guy was a regular zombie, then I would just 2v1 him, and it would be an easy win. But the fungus makes everything more difficult, you see? The issue is that even if a tiny bit gets on you, you're cooked. Which makes him more like a 28 Days Later zombie, where you gotta be extra careful about fighting him up close, and not to mention he's strapped, so in that case, I should definitely keep my distance. On the bright side, Travis and Naomi already know the layout of the place, which means they have all the map knowledge, while for Mike, it's gonna be like walking through a giant maze, and that gives them a pretty huge advantage. So once they realize Mike's a threat, here's what I would do. First, I'll just start booking it down the hallways until I finally lose him, which honestly shouldn't be that hard considering how big the place is, but once I'm out of sight, that's when I'm switching to stealth mode and sneaking for the exit. He's probably gonna be stomping around, making all kinds of noise, so that should make it pretty easy to just avoid him. Then all I gotta do is sneak past, throw some stuff to distract him, and if he gets close, find an emergency exit and I'm set. Conflict avoided. Once they're back above ground, Naomi looks up some letters they saw outside the lab, and it turns out it stands for Defense Threat Reduction Agency, aka some serious military shit. But as if that wasn't bad enough, that's when they spot the freaking deer posted in the hallway, and it turns around and walks off like it's got someplace to be. So Naomi starts following after it, only for Bambi to just casually hop on the elevator like a regular person. And they both just kind of stand there watching like, what kind of Disney movie stuff is this? Now you're probably wondering how the fungus even got out here in the first place. Well, thanks to climate change, the natural spring that was keeping the place cold eventually warmed up. That allowed the fungus to start growing until it broke through the case and kept spreading for years and years until it finally got through the door. That's when an unsuspecting little cockroach showed up and started chowing down, which obviously led to it getting infected. So it started climbing up higher and higher until it got all the way to the parking lot, and who happened to pull in but this dude Mike, who just so happened to run it over and spread the fungus to the cat. And that's exactly how this whole disaster actually started. Well, Travis and Naomi still have no idea how bad this really is, but whatever's going on with Bambi is definitely not normal, so they make the smart choice and decide to call the feds. They make it to the lobby right as the other deer gets there as well, and as soon as it spots them, it locks in on Travis and starts charging straight at him. But Naomi pulls him out of the way just in time. And the deer suddenly just explodes, making 3 down with 10 more to go. Just like when it seems like things can't get any weirder, here comes Mike looking like an absolute mess. So Naomi is like, bro, is you good? But he starts saying all this crazy stuff about throwing up in their mouths. And then out of nowhere, this dude pulls out the blammer and starts popping off shots. So Travis and Naomi dip back downstairs as he starts chasing after them. But there's nowhere to go besides a bunch of endless hallways full of lockers. So they keep booking it through the whole place until they eventually hit a dead end, but this dude Mike is still right behind them, so their only choice is to open one of the lockers and take cover inside. Travis then tries to shut it, but it's jammed, so all they can do is stay quiet as Mike starts looking around. But just as he's about to walk away, a flashlight falls out of one of their pockets, and Travis has to grab it before Mike notices. Now at first it seems like they actually lost him, but then this dummy Travis backs up straight into a damn drum set. Only somehow this dude still doesn't know where they are. So like, damn, close one. But after waiting to make sure that he's gone, Travis finally reaches down to close the door, and all of a sudden, kee-yah! Mike reaches in and starts trying to grab them, but they slam the door straight down on his fingers and manage to lock it shut. And at least they're safe for now, but this dude is not giving up. So they're both like, all right, time to call the cops. And Naomi just found a phone number on the DTRA's website, so they decide to skip the police and just ring up the damn army instead. Alright, now that might actually be the smartest thing that they've done all night, but the fact that they just got outplayed by this idiot Mike is mad embarrassing. Now at first, this might seem pretty intimidating, right? Like not only is this dude a fungus zombie, but he's packing heat, so that makes him pretty freaking dangerous, or at least it should, but honestly, it's nothing like that, because the truth is, he's actually light work. Like for one, this guy's got doo-doo aim. I mean, the shots weren't even close. Plus, he already fired like 6 or 7 times, and with only 1 mag, that means he was almost out of ammo by the time they got downstairs. So when it comes to him hitting me, I ain't even worried about it. But also, my guy is moving at the speed of Michael Myers with 2 broken legs. Like, I could beat Death Stranding 1 and 2 twice in a row and still have plenty of time to escape. So all I gotta do is keep moving at a light jog, and there's no way that he's catching up. Now, remember before when I said that they had all the map knowledge? Yeah, well, so much for that. Like, I'm sorry, but why was Naomi leading the way when it was literally her first day on the job? That's just dumb. If anything, Travis should already know this place like the back of his hand, so I simply would have just kept going until I lost Mike somewhere in the maze, and then followed the signs to an emergency exit, and I'd be all good. But of all the things to do when you're being chased, trapping yourself in a damn storage locker might be the worst possible choice. Because all that does is leave you stuck with nowhere else to run. As soon as I hit that dead end and realized the only way out was to get past Mike, I'm grabbing that fire extinguisher off the wall and blasting him straight in the face. Not only is that gonna blind him and give me a chance to run past, but it also lets me keep my distance, so there's no risk of me getting infected. Then all I gotta do is run for the exit and I'm gone. Easy. But now it looks like they're stuck here until somebody else bails them out. Back with Major Quinn, he lands in Kansas to find his old buddy Romano waiting for him in a beat-up minivan. It looks like they're rolling undercover, and she's already got pretty much everything they need, well, except for one thing, this mysterious piece of the puzzle called Item 7. And Quinn's all like, bro, that's the most important part, but Romano says that they just gotta swing by and pick it up. Well, as they're driving along, Quinn gets another call from Abigail, who just got a call from somebody literally inside the facility, and it's Naomi, and Quinn says to patch her through. As soon as they pick up, Quinn hears Travis yapping in the background and immediately just tells him to shut the f up. Then he explains the situation with the fungus and asks if anyone's been infected yet. So Naomi tells him about Mike and the deer that randomly exploded, and to her surprise, he's not even shocked by any of it. He says he'll be there as soon as he can, but they're gonna have to fend for themselves until then. So he warns them to stay put and not to call anyone else, and whatever they do not try to run. But honestly, he's pretty sure they're both done for. I mean, it's barely been 2 minutes before my guy Travis starts yapping again. And now he thinks that they need to stop the fungus from spreading, but Naomi's like, buddy, I'm just trying to get home. And as long as nobody else shows up, the fungus can't spread anyway, right? But that's when they hear an engine pulling up outside, and it's way too early to be Major Quinn, which can only mean one thing. It's their boss Griffin and a bunch of his biker buddies. And as soon as Mike hears them, he gets up and starts heading their way. They're here to steal a bunch of 4K TVs from one of the storage units, but as they're walking inside, they realize that this place is a total disaster. There's deer guts and green fungus all over everything, but it's the hole in the drywall that finally sets him off. And Griffin hops on the mic to warn Travis that he's in big trouble. Alright, now, I know this might look bad, but actually these dudes showing up is the best possible thing that could have happened, because this gives Travis and Naomi a perfect chance to escape. Now, they could just sit around waiting for Major Quinn to save the day, but think about it. He only told them to stay put because he's worried they'll spread the fungus. But there's no way sticking around is safer than just getting the hell out of there, and for all they know, Quinn might turn on them as soon as he shows up. So personally, I'm not taking the chance. And for Tea-Cake's whole save the world idea, man, that's honestly the dumbest thing I ever heard. Because like Naomi said, I'm just trying to get home. I'm not the one who left some damn super fungus unattended. That was the government. And all it takes is one touch from that stuff and bam, it's game over. So why would I even get involved when I can just dip and let the feds handle it themselves? Which brings me to Griffin and his biker buddies. Because now that they're here, Travis and Naomi can pretty much just walk right out. First, I'm searching the storage unit for anything I could use as a weapon, but there's a catch. With the fungus being so contagious, I'm gonna have to keep my distance. So whatever I'm grabbing, it's gotta be something I can throw from long range. But with that being said, it's definitely better to just avoid this guy if I can, and with Mike focused on Griffin and his friends, I mean, that should be pretty easy. So all I gotta do is wait for the screaming to start, and then use Griffin and his buddies as meat shields while I book it to the nearest exit. And bingo, I survived. Meanwhile, Quinn and Romano pull up at this random house and hit some old people parkour straight over the fence, and after picking the lock to get inside, they find what they were looking for, item 7. But man, this thing's kinda heavy, so they both almost throw their backs out just trying to lift it out the box. And they're about to dip when some random dude shows up holding a shotgun, but he notices Romano, and we find out that this guy is actually her son. Yeah, turns out she's been storing item 7 at his place, which is absolutely crazy if you know what it is. But it seems like her and the daughter-in-law aren't exactly on speaking terms. Can't imagine why. So they gotta bounce before the wife finds out. Well, now they officially have everything they need, but this is the part where things start getting a little sketch, and Romano is worried that she'll just slow him down. So she hands Quinn the keys and tells him to settle this once and for all. Now back with the others, Travis realizes Mike went after their boss and starts acting like they need to go out there and save them. But this time, Naomi's not really on the same page. Like, after all, this dude Griffin kinda sucks. And Major Quinn said that he was gonna be there any minute. But Travis is convinced that Major Quinn's not even coming, and it looks like he's going out there one way or another. So after thinking it over, Naomi finally caves and decides to go with him. Now the bikers are still loading TVs onto the dock, but while his buddies are all working hard, this dude Ironhead starts playing his harmonica, and it ends up leading Mike straight to them. Travis and Naomi get there just in time to see her baby daddy looking like something straight out of Resident Evil, but as they jump out to warn the others, this dude just charges up his ultimate and starts spewing gallons of green slime all over everybody in the room. Like, what the f? Now while they're all freaking out, he slams the door, trapping the bikers inside, and then starts going straight for Travis and Naomi. So the two of them start booking it back down the hallway when out of nowhere, blam! Somebody blasts Mike straight in the dome, and he suddenly explodes just like the deer, making 4 down with 9 more to go. It's the old lady from back at the beginning. Remember her? Yeah? Well, it looks like she just saved their lives, and the funny part is, she is so old that she doesn't even know what the hell she just did. Griffin hears the shot go off and whips out his own strap, while downstairs, the old lady starts trying to dip, thinking that she just smoked a regular dude. Travis hears the boss coming, so he takes Grandma over to a back exit and tells her to ditch the glizzy in the river. But then she just turns around and tosses him the blammer, so he dumps it in the frickin' mop bucket and just goes back to deal with Griffin. Okay, now let's just hold on a minute here. You're telling me this dude's going back in there? Bro, for what? If it's to help this dude Griffin, that's dumb, because these bikers already had plenty of chances to save themselves. And I don't know about you, but if I walked in and saw the place looking like a damn xenomorph just gave birth in there, that's all I need to see before I'm saying that and turn it around. I'm sorry, but there ain't no 4K TV worth dealing with all of that. And now that half of them just got covered in zombie slime, that means it's already too late to save them anyway. So at this point, these dudes are on their own. Now, like I was saying before, Travis and Naomi could have easily just dipped out of there while Mike was busy going after the bikers. But all this time underground must have had them losing some brain cells or something, because instead of making a break for it, they literally just stood there watching as he yacked all over everyone, like, people, run! What are you thinking? I mean, how much easier does this have to be? They're just lucky Granny came along when she did, otherwise they would have been toast. But now that Mike is out of the picture, there's literally nothing stopping them from just turning around and walking the hell out. So if I was Travis, I'm getting Naomi and hitting the road. Travis finds Griffin standing right next to this giant puddle that used to be Mike and starts warning him to stay away from the ooze, man. But while they're busy arguing back and forth, they hear the other bikers trying to break out, and Griffin starts telling Travis to open the door. Well, Travis tries explaining how they're all infected, but Griffin's just like, yeah, right, you must think I'm dumb. And all of a sudden he accidentally fires a shot that bounces off the wall and hits Travis straight in the arm. I mean, this dude is low-key just as shocked as him, but he starts playing it off like he meant to do that, and keeps threatening to blast him again if Travis won't open the door. So Travis reaches down like he's gonna listen, but right at the last minute, he decides to lock the in instead. Suddenly, Naomi shows up and blasts Griffin with a fire extinguisher, and the two of them make a run for it as Griffin's buddy starts wrestling for the blammer. They make it outside through a back exit, only for somebody to yell, "Stop!" It's Major Quinn, and he's ready to blast them until Abigail says they're good. She's watching through a satellite that checks their temperatures, because anybody with the fungus is going to show up super hot, right? But these two are both in the clear, so it looks like they're saved, right? Well, not exactly, because instead of just letting them leave, the Major decides that he's sending them on a little mission. He starts by handing them a glizzy and a couple of hazmat suits, but that's when things start to get crazy, because remember item 7? Yeah, it's actually a freaking nuke, and he seriously wants these two to bring it down to the lab and blow this whole place straight to Timbuktu. Well, Travis is all like, buddy, are you nuts, but the Major swears it's all perfectly safe. Since the lab is so deep underground, the radiation should be mostly contained, so all they gotta do is plant the nuke and get back out before it goes off, and they'll all be heroes. What could go wrong? Now, as for the Major, he's gotta stay back and make sure no infected manage to escape, but if they don't stop the fungus now, then the whole world is donezo. So as crazy as it sounds, these two suit up and get ready to go in. Alright, now remember before when I said Travis's idea was the dumbest thing I've ever heard? Yeah, well, it looks like that just changed. Because this right here might actually be the most batshit plan that's ever been thought up. I mean, you're seriously telling me this guy's handing two random civilians a nuke and saying make your country proud? Like, no, absolutely the not. I will not be doing anything like that. Until a few hours ago, these two were just some average Joes trying to get through another shift at their mediocre job. And like I said before, literally none of this is their responsibility. So there's no way I'm about to go on this obvious death mission when I'm not even the one who caused this in the first place. Plus, this dude said they're only gonna have about 9 minutes to get out. Like, bro, it's gonna take me that long just to climb the damn ladder. And especially after Travis just got blasted in the arm, there's literally no way he's gonna make it. So the best I'm willing to do for this guy is lower the nuke down on a rope and then run out. But that's gonna have to be good enough because this is just insane. Back inside, Griffin realizes that Ironhead still has his key, so all he's gotta do is toss it under the door and he can let them out. But boy is he surprised when they come out looking like some damn zombies. And this other dude gets so disgusted that he slips and falls straight into all the slime. That guy takes off running as Griffin whips out the blammer, but the other two start saying that they should just go home. So Griffin tells them to start heading for the stairs, not realizing that's the worst thing he could do. But just as they're about to leave, he turns around to see this girl, Cuba, still chilling in the locker, and suddenly, boom, her head explodes in a huge burst of green slime, making 5 down with 8 more to go. Now Travis and Naomi put on their gear and head inside, but as soon as they're gone, Quinn turns around and starts slashing all the tires, cause he doesn't want to risk anyone getting away. Now just then Abigail says that he's got another bogey inbound, so Quinn spins around just as the dude comes running out and lights him up with absolutely no hesitation, making 6 down with 7 more to go. But he whips around so fast that he ends up throwing his back out, leaving him stuck with no way to move. Our hazmat wearing heroes make it all the way to the lab without running into any trouble. But as they start setting up the nuke, they realize that Quinn already started the timer, so they only have a matter of minutes to get out before the whole place goes kablooey. Now as for Griffin and Ironhead, they do make it back to the lobby, but as soon as Quinn sees them coming, he opens fire and drops the big guy right on the spot, making 7 down with 6 more to go. Griffin drives for cover as Quinn starts blasting at him next, but the old man runs out of ammo, so Griffin comes walking out thinking that he's got him beat. But just when it looks like Quinn is toast, his old buddy Romano pulls up just at the right time, and she drops Griffin before he even knows what hit him, making 8 down with 5 more to go. Now Travis and Naomi make it back up the ladder only to find the last biker standing there all zombified. But Naomi just pulls out the blick and lets her have it, making 9 down with 4 more to go. They find the 2 senior citizens back outside, and even though they're kind of pissed at Quinn for setting them up, there's no time to waste. So they all hop in the minivan and start flooring it down the road. All of a sudden, kaboom! The nuke finally goes off, and they keep whipping this minivan at like 200 miles an hour as the ground is literally exploding right underneath them. But against all odds, they actually do make it. So it looks like Travis and Naomi just saved the world. And after the news about what happened gets out, Colonel Jarabek finally gets exposed for trying to cover it all up, and Quinn gets the credit he deserves for keeping the world safe. Now as for Travis and Naomi, they're chilling back at the park with her daughter when he finally realizes that he's got to tell her how he got that nickname. Basically, he just bought some tea cakes one day and the name stuck ever since. So yeah, not really that interesting, but the most important thing is that they both made a friend, and maybe even a little more. So in the end, that makes 9 down with 4 lucky survivors, but just when it looks like the fungus is no longer among us, we see Bambi's cousin look straight at the camera and puke up a bunch of green slime. So I guess if there's one thing we can all learn here, it's why you should never send a zombie fungus into outer space. Cold storage. And you know, this movie almost went past my radar. Who knew this movie was coming out? I didn't see a single preview for this joint. I'm glad I did though, and if you would have done anything differently in today's episode, you need to let me know what that is down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like and subscribe, and check out that How to Meet playlist for more videos just like this one. I'm Ben. We'll see you in the next video, and have a damn good day.